Through majestic forests, alpine valleys and crystal-clear lakes, following the trails of wild animals, in search of rare birds, in places where no man had set a foot before. Precious, magnificent nature, in all its diversity and grandeur, in the documentary series Kazakhstan's Wildlife Sanctuaries. There is no place more suitable for extreme journeys in Kazakhstan than Usturt Plato. Lifeless deserted plain is outlined by high, winding precipices. Local term for such landscape is chinky, and it was made up by scientists to attribute Caspian's steep cliffs to a separate geographical concept. These cliffs appeared millions of years ago in place of the vanished ancient Tethys Sea. We are moving towards Karinjarik Depression in a self-titled desert. It lies between Usturt Plato and Mangyshlak Peninsula. Beautiful views are opening before our eyes as we walk through the desert. Colored rocks, quaint canyons, rocky labyrinths and gorges. The weather favors us. It's a sunny day and the sky is clear. We wouldn't be able to pass, though, these places in rainy weather. The deserts of southwest Kazakhstan are characterized by saline muds, salt flats, takur and hak. Salt marshes called sors lay between them and lakes of the reserve. Kandar Liso is the largest one in Usturt Reserve. Usturt Reserve is located in Karakia district of Mangistau region. It occupies the southwestern part of Usturt Plateau and includes the plain and Kandar Liso hollow. The area of the reserve is 223,342 hectares. Karinjarik and Unera Spring, these are the most beautiful spots that attract tourists. More than 100 tourists have already visited us this year. This contributes to the development of local tourism. Rapid development of the natural areas of Mangistau began in the 80s. Geological explorations, creation of colossal underground oil storage reservoirs have caused significant damage to fragile desert ecosystems. In the 60s, Usturt used to be a home for about 10,000 Usturt mouflons and about 100,000 Ceyran gazelles. By the end of the 70s, the number of mouflons had reduced to 2,000 individuals, gazelles to 10,000. Mangistau developers managed to completely wipe out the population of cheetah. Almost the same happened to Usturt population of saiga. The number of McQueen's bastard and caracal had decreased drastically as well. In 1984, the Council of Ministers of the Kazakh SSR made a decision to establish Usturt National Reserve to preserve unique flora and fauna of Turan southern desert. The accent was made on protecting Usturt mouflon population. Usturt Reserve was organized to protect endemic species, Usturt mouflon. At the moment, the population of mouflons is stable. Another artiodactyl inhabiting these areas is Ceyran gazelle. Rare representatives of Felidae family include manul, pallas cat, sand cat and caracal. Another species listed in the Red Book of Kazakhstan and the International Union for Nature Conservation list is honey badger. This extremely rare animal inhabits the territory of Usturt Reserve. The flora of Usturt is quite poor. It's mainly represented by subshrubs, various kinds of wormwood, Anabasis salsa, Helanemum strobilecuum, locally known as sarsazan. Trees are represented mainly by black soxol. However, during the spring, you may also see blooming thickets of sand acacia and large salt cedar shrubs, which enliven the monotonous landscape. There are 306 kinds of high vascular plants registered on the territory of the reserve. 5 of them are red listed. There are endemic plants: Crum, Edentula, Catran, Spurge, Euphorbia sclerocyphium, Hevan salsola. There are numerous springs and wells on precipitous slopes feeding on salty groundwaters. Springs provide vital moisture to the animals. The fauna here is typical for deserts. We came across several kinds of lizards and a snake. We assumed it was a viper. However, Wikipedia data suggested that this area is inhabited by dwarf sand boas, whip snakes, and gloideas. Near wells you may see dice snakes. We were not mistaken when it came to the turtle though. This is a Central Asian or steppe turtle. It is also known as Testudo horsfieldi, after American biologist Thomas Horsfield. Recently, the number of these turtles has decreased. They are now listed in the International Red Book. In contradiction to the widely known postulate that turtles live up to 300 years, this species lives up to 50 years in the wild. Employees of the reserve regularly keep a record of wild animals and birds. For these purposes, they use photo traps. Recently, the camera recorded manul and caracal. These days, employees of the reserve are in the field. They are monitoring wild inhabitants of the desert. For example, yesterday they counted 60 gazelles.
Буквально вчера прошли у нас дожди на Устюрте.
It was raining here in Usturt yesterday. We were conducting gazelle registry as part of our expedition. Its population here is stable. This indicates that the food base is sufficient and there's enough watering on the plateau. There's no threat from poachers. Therefore, gazelle's population grows. Cordon Unire is located 25 kilometers from the border with Turkmenistan. Therefore, the rangers are on duty around the clock. Sun is setting on Usturt Plato. We are preparing for the night. Inspectors of the reserve are experienced people. They know everything about spending the night in the desert. Set up the tent, strengthened it thoroughly so the wind wouldn't blow it away at night. We found some dry sticks, lit a fire and cooked a simple meal. The wind was raging the whole night. This is a common thing in Usturt. Wind and water created these fantastic plateau landscapes. In the morning, an astonishing view opened before our eyes. A stone castle, Bozjara Mountain, rising above the milky white Karashek Hollow. As if the fairy magicians built this ivory tower. In fact, this wonderful architectural ensemble was created by surf waves of the ancient Sarmatian Sea 300,000 years ago. Our day began with this beautiful image and a delicious breakfast under the open skies. The wind died and we were relieved that there were no mosquitoes. We continued our way through the territory of the reserve. Rangers found traces of mountain rams on the hard-to-reach slopes of the canyon. Looks like a small herd passed here at night. Mouflons are almost twice as small as argali. They only inhabit deserted lower mountains of Transcaspia, mainly cliffs of the western Usturt. We move on. The Usturt wind started blowing again, howling like a big horn. There are moments when wind blows so hard that it becomes challenging to stay still, especially when you are standing on the edge of the cliff. Looking down from such height may take one's breath away. During our journey, we unexpectedly met explorers of Usturt nature. Mark Pestov is a biologist, a member of Russian Reptile Research Society. Till Dieterich is a German biologist. He has been working in Kazakhstan for 20 years, studying the ecosystem of Turan Desert. This time, Till Dieterich took his son, Arlan, to show him one of the most amazing nature spots of Kazakhstan.
Лучше место изучать эти биоразнообразие в Казахстане просто нет. И поэтому мы работаем здесь.
There is no better place to study biodiversity of Kazakhstan than this. We are working towards having Usturt Reserve listed as UNESCO Cultural and Natural Heritage Spot. We have been working on this for several years and hope for support from local authorities, since this nomination is like a Nobel Prize of landscapes.
Что мы можем продвигать этот так называемый Нобелевский премия для ландшафт на самом деле.
The expedition is organized by German Foundation, Environmental and Scientific Projects of Europe, Caucasus and Central Asia, and Kazakhstani Association for Biodiversity Conservation. In 2 weeks, scientists, together with reserve staff, had collected sufficient information, enough for Usturt Reserve to be qualified to attain this important UNESCO status. Til Dieterich believes that it's not just the nature of Turan Plain that might be interesting for scientists. Geological history of Usturt is not yet studied well as the historical and cultural heritage of southwestern Kazakhstan.
Устюртский заповедник так по себе содержит еще очень много.
Usturt Reserve has also a rich cultural heritage, particularly ethno-irons, remains of the Neolithic era. These are traps for ungulates that Neolithic hunters have put along the cliff edges.
Охотники здесь вдоль чинках ловили.
Historical monuments are located throughout the territory of Usturt. Caravan routes passed through the plateau in the ancient times, with caravanserais and cities built along them. There are over 60 Neolithic sites and many ancient mausoleums and mosques in Usturt. This makes Usturt attractive for ecotourism development.
84 жылдан бері ашылған Устurt мемлекеттік табиғи қорығында бүгінгі таңда 2 туристік маршрут жұмыс жасайды.
Since the opening day in 1984, 2 tourist routes operate on the territory of the reserve, Unere and Kokesem. The routes are very long and challenging. Despite these difficulties, these routes are popular with tourists. This April and May, we had 68 tourists, mainly from Russia, but also from Austria, Germany, and of course Kazakhstani tourists.
Сәуір-мамыр айларында бүгінгі таңға дейін 68 турист келді. Олар өзіміздің көршілес Ресей, Австрия, Германия және қазақстандық туристер болып саналады.
15 kilometers away from the city of Aktau, there is a freshwater lake, Karakol. It is a part of the Karagiye-Karakol Zoological Reserve area attached to the Usturt Reserve. The lake is small. The total area is 137 hectares. It is 15 kilometers long. The Lake Karakol is known for the large flamingo settlements. There are other rare water birds as well: common pocket, mute swans, whooper swans, grey and white herons. Therefore, the lake is enlisted as one of the protected ornithological sites in Kazakhstan. Before your arrival, I arrested a poacher next to the lake. He had a sack full of crayfish, around 100 of those. These crustaceans are important for this ecosystem. They are the main food for the red-listed birds of the lake. Therefore, we threw them back into the lake. Artemia salina brine shrimps live in salt water. This is a favorite food of fish and birds. Pink color flamingos is derived from these small red crustaceans which contain carotenoid. We couldn't find any flamingos today. They are too far away from us, hiding from the stormy wind. The inspector of the reserve had assured us that flamingos do inhabit Karakol area. He counted 20 individuals. This time, we only caught sight of mullets and waders. It's time to leave the amazing Usturt. Its lunar fantastic landscapes will stay in our minds forever, while new discoveries and secrets of the pristine Kazakhstan nature are waiting for us on our further journey.